Hello, Internet. Those tuning in on Twitch, in Discord, or listening on the download. It is Frazzly the Awesome Gnome. On this episode, we will be discussing more BFA updates as we inch even closer. Talk about the history of WoW, some new PvP details, and we will geek out on movies and more. Let's start the Gnome Train. This is Frazzlecast, a podcast by a Blizzard fan gnome about World of Warcraft and geeky stuff. We are recording live from a tavern. Each week we are joined by awesome people from around Azeroth and beyond. This is episode 62. Oh, hold on. I think it's going to rain. Okay. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, hey, I guess... Fail! Yeah. I guess I won't have any rain and umbrella. I practiced that like 20 times. Oh well, it's time to get under an umbrella with my umbrella broke. Because I am joined by Dusty and Ryan of Blizzard Umbrella. Hello!
Yo, what's up, Fraz?
I'm doing great.
That was the best opening to a podcast I've ever seen in my life.
I went too far on opening it up. I gotta figure out that umbrella. Hope I didn't break it.
I saw those show notes and I was like, okay, this is going to be, I got to see what's going to unfold here, metaphorically and literally speaking.
I was trying to take my eyes from what you were doing and then Ryan's reaction, and Ryan was just kind of speechless. It was amazing as your umbrella was just failing you.
And this show is full of things like failing. Like we had fell corruption, and now it's the corruption of the old gods.
Oh yes, that's right.
Epic and Sandy, what time is it?
It's time to go around the table.
Great idea. What have we been up to recently? Let's start with Dusty.
Let's do it. I love it. I've been continuing my quest. If you've listened to our show at all, even if you haven't, I am on my quest to achieve Lore Master.
Nice.
In WoW. And so because of I got a whole lot of catching up to do. I'm actually starting it on a fresh character, and so I'm level 57 now. I am in the Western Plaguelands. Not only am I trying to get Lore Master Frazzly, but I'm crazy enough to try and capture all the battle pets in the zone that I can, and just have a good time doing it. Western Plaguelands has been a lot of fun. Just got done with Hillsbred Foothills. Had a lot of fun in there. Was in Arathi Highlands for a while. Had a great time in there. So that's kind of been the lump sum of my time. Playing a lot of Hearthstone. Really fun right now. Dabbling in some Overwatch. But primarily, believe it or not, Fraz, I have been in WoW a lot lately. Nice. Way more than I thought I would be at the end of Legion.
Are you doing it on an old character or a new?
So absolutely fresh. I started him at, like I said, well, it was an allied race, so I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. So it's a Lightforged Draenei. But I'm going back and doing all of the 1 to 60 zones. Once I get done with that, I'm going to do all of, from Hellfire Peninsula all the way through the TBC stuff. Then I'm excited about getting into Wrath, and then, just continuing on. I know this is going to take me possibly years to do, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
And wouldn't you agree that the new leveling feels much smoother?
Yeah, I was thinking that today when I was in Western Plaguelands, and my level was not really equivalent to what it should have been. And I forgot this. The old zones have just some... I'm not a big fan of, bring back classic. We got to have classic WoW. But as I'm going through all of these older zones, I do understand the charm and the appeal of the actual locations in the world, because that's what World of Warcraft to me is about, is the world, the story, things like that. And obviously my counterpart here, you're going to hear him talk about obviously other things than what I talk about, which is kind of why we make a great team. But leveling through the old zones has been an absolute blast.
Nice. And now, Dusty's counterpart, Ryan, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been leveling my Lightforged Draenei, doing Lord Master, and catching all the battle pets.
No, he hasn't.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I haven't. No, I've been building out our mythic roster for the new guild that we're putting together for BFA. And oddly enough, turned on my computer for the first time in 3 days today, because the last couple of days I've been kind of doing family and holiday stuff. But I've been really immersed into the Before the Storm book.
Oh, I was telling Christy today on Twitter that part of the reason why I haven't been getting back into that one is I don't want it to end. I've loved every part of it, and I don't want the book to end. It's like that Christmas present. If you don't open it, it's still there.
Mm-hmm. I'm a huge reader, but I'm a very, very big proponent of good writing and really liking the author of a book. And I've liked a lot of the WoW books that I've read or listened to in audio form. But I've got to say, I'm particularly fond of Christy Golden's books. She tends to find the right balance of progressing this story forward, not too fast, but not too slow, and not getting caught up on being overly infatuated with details. I'm really excited to see how this book ends. I'm about just a little over halfway through it.
I'm not sure if you guys feel this way, Ryan and Frasley, or not about Before the Storm, but I feel like she makes you care about side characters.
Yeah.
Like characters that you encounter in the book that you know are not going to be mainstays, you know are not going to be huge plot points, but like you get into the book and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about this goblin. I want to know more about this night elf that is sent to do this specific task. Like, they're not huge characters, and Ryan and I haven't gotten to nerd out about this yet. We're going to very soon. But I feel like Christy, like, legitly, you care about these side characters so much. I don't know. I'm just so immersed in the setting of that book, and it makes me, like you said, Frasley, I don't want it to end. I agree with that.
Are either of you two familiar with the author Robert Jordan?
I'm not.
I can't say that I am.
Okay, so sadly he is no longer with us, but Brandon Sanderson, another author, actually finished off his Robert series, the Wheel of Time series.
Oh, yes! I've never read that one, but I keep meaning to.
It's very, very good. It gets a little tough to read once you get down to like book 12 or 13, because some of his novels are like 1,300 pages long.
Jeez.
But he does a really good job of, like you were saying, Dusty, jumping from, like, really bringing light to multiple characters. And, you know, you have small snippets with each character, and you kind of jump back and forth, and then they all kind of culminate at the end. And I really feel like that's kind of how Chrissy is kind of gravitating towards, is a culmination of all tying all of those pieces together at the end. And I'm really excited to see how she does it.
Yeah.
There's two characters that I've not gotten to where they are in the story, but I cannot wait to read about them. And I won't go anymore. I won't go anymore.
Yeah, I was trying to be really careful as I tiptoed around it. There's so many things that I want to talk with somebody about, because I know my thoughts, but I'm like, all right, Ryan, seriously, like, this one part, like, what do you think this means? You know, what's going to happen because of this arc in game? And there's something about having something outside of a game that you invested so much time in, and you're outside of that universe and you're reading a book. It makes you just want to go and be in that universe even that much more. And it's really amplified the enjoyment that I'm having in WoW as a whole.
Well, and one thing I like is I've gotten all of the in-game quests up to where we are right now, where like we give our artifact over. So what they're covering isn't actually new. And I like that. I like that it doesn't feel like you are missing story. If anything, it feels like this is adding to the story, giving better context. Like, even in the opening chapters, it goes over some things and it's like, oh, and that's what I like, is that you don't have to read it, but it's more stuff to help you. It's like there was a book series, Pendragon, and they had hired some writers to do these Traveler series. So like you could hear about other characters, and you didn't have to read those, but they added to the story of the main series.
It's funny, the timing is so perfect too, with all the stuff that just got dropped in Silithus and kind of what we're doing there. Like, it even made me go back, and this is crazy, and I know I'm a nerd, but it made me go back and I rolled a brand new Goblin, because somebody wrote on Reddit that you could see some of the characters in book in the Goblin starting zone. And sure enough, one of the main goblins that you read about and hear about in the book is one of the main characters that you interact with in the starting zone. I hate that starting zone. I normally don't say that I hate places in WoW, but let me tell you something. Whenever they give you that stupid car quest where you got to drive that car on that stupid street, you can't navigate things well. Beep beep. I hate it, but I finished it.
It was better in Cataclysm. I played a Goblin in Cataclysm in launch. It was great. I've heard it has a lot of bugs since then because they've modified things. But in Cat, that was my favorite starting zone. Just
out of curiosity, we don't have to talk about it, but do you guys have any idea as to which Goblin character I'm talking about, as far as like that we've heard about? Do you know, Ryan? You know? Yeah. Okay.
I think I know, but
okay. Well, I'm not going to say anything, but it's okay. Yeah.
All so right. I will say this, and this isn't a spoiler, but I noticed a lot of people, or a few people in chat, are getting more excited. I will say this: the one thing that really excites me about this book. Not only is the fact that Christy Golden is the author, but the fact that she is now an employee of Blizzard and very, very tied heavily with the production of the story moving forward within the game and in any part of their canon. One of my worries with there being a distinct lack of a central big bad boss like we've had in other expansions is that we would be in another Warlords of Draenor state. An expansion that was distinctly lacking. I know everybody loved the leveling experience of Warlords of Draenor, but I think once you got past the leveling, that expansion just kind of lacked. But
Yeah.
the fact that Chrissy Golden is writing this book and at the helm of the story moving forward, I think bodes very well for both content driven people, lore nut people, raiders. I just think that this expansion is going to be phenomenal, even though we don't know a lot about it yet compared to other expansions.
Well, and Christy Golden is having fun. In the pantry, there's a video I'll put in the show notes, but there's a short film that was at BlizzCon. It had all the writers, like Christy Golden had like a kill list and stuff like that. And they were just having a lot of fun. And first time I'd seen it was this past few days. And I feel Christy's really getting into their role, and they've been writing books and writing for Warcraft for a long time. So it's not like they're new to the stuff. They've been engrossed in it. And from what it sounds like, they also play WoW. So they are invested in the same characters that we're invested in.
It's funny too that, we're going to talk about later on in the show about the history of WoW and the piece of content that came out about it this week. But people always talk about, well, where does this game end? It's funny, like, 13, 14, 15 years into the game now, we are seeing Blizzard hire important people like her this far along in the game. Like, this shows you just like how much passion they have for the game to bring in somebody like Chris. I couldn't agree with Ryan more. I think that having her not only for these books and the narrative of the game, but just the actual what she can do for the game itself. I love that.
Yeah, I think in a way, we're seeing Blizzard just getting started. I mean, the tools they've perfected over the years. And they're like, yeah, we have our tools down and we're going to keep expanding them. Let's go for it. Let's make this as best as we can. The foundation is set. No need to redo it and redo all the stuff.
I could not agree more.
Anything else, Ryan, that you did?
No, man, I just been, like I said, I've been enjoying kind of the holidays and a few days off. Been a lot of time behind the scenes focused on building a guild out and a mythic roster out. Yeah, it's been primarily just focused on WoW and kind of work and reading. So
Nice. Well, I did something really bad. I ate a Jurassic Chomp Blizzard. I had to say, it's delicious. The ads are true. And I still want to see Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but I've got it in pre-order. And for the geeks out there, I just have to also mention this. There's a cool thing if you have a Mac and an iPad, or even an iPhone. It's called Luna Display. And it added a second monitor to my computer. I was working on this podcast last Saturday. I was only going to have one monitor. And I was like, I need two. I have this little adapter, plugged it in. Wow. Software emulators of monitors are nothing compared to this. I mean, it used my hard drive. I was moving files between. I could even have been editing Audition on my iPad if I wanted to. Really cool.
It's awesome.
And then Thunda is now level 86. Loving the Druid. Yeah.
Lightning and the thunder. Ryan, you know it. You know you were thinking it, Ryan. You know you were thinking it, Ryan.
I hate that song so much.
You love it, Ryan. You love it.
I think I'm thunderstruck because I am loving the Druid life. I'm a gnome warrior, but Druids are so cool with like the moonfire and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Almost 87. I actually was like probably about 10, 20 minutes before this podcast from getting to 87.
What is the race? Is it a gnome?
No, this one is a night elf, but with a race change to Cold Tyrant as soon as I unlock it.
Yes, agreed.
I bought the race change during the sale they were having. I was like, Thunder's going to become a Cold Tyrant. I love Worgen and all that, but no, especially with like the feel of it. I think I've got the Bloodsail Admiral hat. I think Thunder will be a pirate druid.
That's so cool, man. Those forms, the Cold Tyrant forms, are just amazing. Oh man, I can't wait. I got a druid just sitting there waiting.
I'm really excited for all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying out a huge UI change, just a teaser. I won't go into it too much. And I did work on a lot of Midsummer Fire Festival for like XP and some of the collectibles. My favorite toy that I just got, the set of matches. It is.
Oh yeah. That's a great one.
I like used it. All of a sudden my character just like running around controlling me like, and like ran into a tree. I love it.
We can wait Ryan up later after this segment. He's not a big fan of toys.
Okay.
What? I'm just sad you're saying toys and Toys R Us. Jeffrey posted that photo the other day. Just brings tears to me, man. I'm just trying to keep it together right now.
Ryan's just, he's about to break down.
Truth be told, though, that was sad.
Yeah. and at Toys R Us, I can't buy my Jurassic World Mattel toys. They made an ad for the Jurassic World toys that felt like the 90s commercial. I'll have a link in the show notes. But as you're watching it, and like the fake sets and stuff like that, and the cheesy announcer, it was like really cool. And I found out that they made the ad to be like the 90s commercials. So way to go, Mattel. I almost bought the toys. And I promised I will not use the mattress in Teldrassil. And Ryan, you cannot use the toy in Teldrassil either.
Listen, do not talk about my sacred tree right now, okay? I don't want to talk about Teldrassil. I
Dusty,
don't
you're
want to talk
horde
about
now.
it.
You're horde now, Dusty.
I know, Ryan. I know.
Manduin has soft hands.
Are you talking about my King Anduin?
Yes, he is.
Anduin.
Anduin. That's pretty good. That's pretty good there.
The narrator of the Before the Storm book. Oh, his voice is so dreamy.
Now, are both are both of you guys listening to the book, or is either one of you?
I am.
Yeah, I am
Okay.
too. It is the best. When I heard that Anduin was narrating, I was like,
You got to do it.
I do data analytics for a job, man. So I got headphones in my ears all day long anyway. So I figured I might as well listen to the book.
So what he's telling me is he's doing no data analytics and he's just listening to this book. I love it.
Pretty much.
This is fantastic.
Every now and then somebody walks by, I'll just punch my
Start-
keyboard a few times.
Just start clacking away.
well, just don't let your emotions get to you on the book. I'm learning more and more about the TomTom add-on. Did you know that TomTom adds waypoints to your minimap? So as the crazy arrow goes away, I kept wondering, why is my crazy arrow going away? How can I get the next one? It's on your minimap. So if you're wondering where your crazy arrow went, look on your minimap.
Check your mini map.
And the last movie I'll talk about before we get into the big stuff about WoW, Incredibles 2. Just incredible.
Is it good?
Yes. And has it really been 13 years since the last one?
I was thinking that the other day when I saw that date. I was like, are you kidding me? It's been that long? It's a great movie, though.
Yeah, we're old now, man.
Well, you are, but I don't know.
You're not that much older than me.
You know, Jurassic World we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Ryan might have been there. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. Oreo's starting this. Oreo said in chat, Ryan predates Toys R Us.
Yeah, I've got some guildmates and a co-host from the TRC. They're
this is
being
great.
ninjas in the chat right now. So
Nice.
I love it.
I love an active Twitch chat room. We're actually bringing back trivia at some point where Twitch chat can steal trivia.
Oh, Ryan's fantastic at that too.
I'll have to bring it back on an episode when we have Lady Emma. But let's get into the main topics. Very quick update before we get into the other stuff. We talked last week about the artifact empowerment animation causing people that are prone to seizures and epilepsy, causing them a very harmful reaction. On June 29th, Adam of DBM posted that Blizzard had patched out the animation. So just want to say the animation's out. So Blizzard was very quick to respond to that. So thank you, Blizzard.
And that's crazy. That's insane. Like, are we talking about where when you went to Silithus and you completed that quest line where it just kind of started going haywire, started going crazy?
Yeah, and like apparently the animation for different people was
kind of triggering there.
Yeah, and the Incredibles 2 was actually the first movie that opened up with a seizure and epilepsy warning, and I can understand why, because a couple scenes where they had it, it was tough on me to watch that scene, and I'm not prone to that, but yeah, so just. Sure. Blizzard, awesome job on getting it fixed. Yay, Blizzard.
Good job, Liz.
And artifact instability is increasing. So apparently the concordance of the Legion fall has increased. I did not get to check it because I've been on my alt all week. Has it increased on yours past where the article's saying?
It goes up every day by 1 level.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Again, Druid life. I have no artifact yet. And by the time I get to the artifacts, we'll have no artifacts ever again. Oh,
be obsolete.
No, actually, they're still going to work on leveling. I can level through them. I forgot about that. It just, once they get to
110?
Yeah, 110, they go away, and we get sticks.
That's interesting, though. Like, how do you guys feel about, I was thinking about that the other day, like, with us being in Legion, not having to worry about or seeing any weapons drop, and then now going into BFA after a couple of years of that not happening. Like, that's going to be so cool. Like, I'm a hunter. I always used to love being in a dungeon or a raid and seeing like that bow drop. It's just, I don't know, that's just something exciting about a weapon, even more so than gear. Kind of, what do you guys think about that? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm looking forward to being able to upgrade the weapon, because even my artifact, I transbonked it to something else because I didn't like my design for what I was going after. So the artifact was more of a trait thing. And in a way, we'll get better because we're going to be empowering our gear from the Azerite necklace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of torn. I hate the additional piece of loot that you have to pay attention to. And granted, for those that are in chat or listening right now, my perspective is a bit different because I am a progression raider. So that's another level of micromanagement I have to add into the mix. Having the artifact weapon, the weapons taken care of and stuff like that, that aspect was nice. But like you guys were saying, that extra level of excitement going after that extra piece of loot, the big piece of loot that you want, that I did miss that to some degree. So that'll be fun having that again.
I wouldn't have minded if the artifact weapon just kept going forward, but kind of like they released a video this week, The History of World of Warcraft, explained by Blizzard Entertainment, and Ian made a good point about the artifact. And they said that the artifact was a system they didn't want to have to worry about balancing it out as we go forward. So they said it's like the garrisons. It's a system that they're just going to leave in Legion, but learn from what they did with it. And I feel they have learned with the necklace. I feel the necklace takes what we loved about the artifact, but also takes what we hated about the artifact and doesn't take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of feel like the class halls were kind of the next iteration of the garrison, right? They realized that the garrison was not what we really wanted. I think they thought it would tie people over who were saying, give us player housing or whatever, those crazy people. But it didn't. And so they kind of took all the good pieces and some bad pieces and brought them to Legion. And I think you're right. With the weapon, they're taking that, putting it in the necklace and kind of taking the good, bringing that forward and getting rid of kind of the excess fat kind of the stuff that people didn't like.
Now, it would have been cool at least if the artifact could have gotten to where it is right now, the Empowered Artifact, and then you just had it equipped. I mean, that kind of would have been cool to have your legendary weapon with you. I guess I'm still torn on that because Ryan, you made a good point. I mean, it's nothing you have to worry about. And the lore of the weapon is pretty cool.
Yeah, I got to say that aspect was really neat. Bringing those weapons to the forefront, letting players actually wield them and use them instead of just having them being this kind of untouchable, cool thing that was off attached to some story character. But it is kind of depressing that some of these weapons are now effectively killed off and potentially no longer going to be in the game, you know?
Except in Transmog. That's the only saving grace is that...
Right. Think of the story that has been added through these like weapons, like having every spec have so much additional story. Like when people come into the game now, they're going to have that option of, you know, that stuff's never going to be out of the game. Like I'm learning now leveling and going through Lore Master, old world content. This game is so large and robust to what it has to offer. Like even when you're in downtimes like this, like let's just say BFA, you get really bored towards the end of the expansion. The next expansion's kind of right around the horizon. You're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to all of my alts. I'm going to go through all of their specs and to check out the story and get the artifact weapon. I mean, it's not going to be hard content, but it's going to be content that's there for you to consume, and I think that's going to be something to benefit the game going forward.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to look at this History of World of Warcraft?
I actually didn't finish it. I had to step away, but I got through about 80% of it, roughly. I think I ended at about the Warlords section of it, But yeah, it was very accurate. It was kind of neat, kind of go back through, and they've been more prone to answering a lot of the behind-the-scenes questions now, much more so than they were early on with WoW, And so it was kind of cool to take a step back and kind of look at some of the mentality or logic behind some of their decisions, or like you said earlier, Frasley, with the kind of their decisions and how they've progressed with their technology, their coding, stuff like that. And we recently saw the post on MMO, the blue post, where they kind of gave some examples of the varying degrees of coding, how inefficient it was compared to now. So just all of that together is kind of neat to see how far we truly have come, both from story perspective and technologically speaking.
Because the engine is not really the same engine. The graphics, sure, they don't look like some of the modern games, but if you look at some of the stuff they did, it actually looks better than they did before. And the underlying infrastructure, I'm someone that if you can do what Blizzard does and the magic that you can do, I don't think that we need a new engine. Because I feel like if you look at the models even now, they're realizing all the tricks that they can do to make things flesh out. What it was cool, they said like in MOP, they added real-time shadows. Mm-hmm. They've done a lot of things to improve the game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I love this kind of stuff. I watched the whole video. I thought it was fantastic. And I don't know. I love this video. I love introspective from developers and devs and what they can give us. And do you guys remember that? Can't remember the name of the documentary or whatever it was, but where they showed the server room, like looking for group or whatever the name of that documentary was. But I loved seeing that behind the scenes stuff. And I want more of this. Like, it was funny how lovingly they spoke of all the expansions and then they got to Warlords and it felt like they were trying to like pitch it, right? Like they were trying to sell us on an expansion later. Like they know all the points that people are giving a hard time about. And I was a guest on the Blue Recluse this past weekend, and Tom was talking about that, how all the comments below there were talking about WoD and them trying to sell us on an expansion that they know most people didn't like. Now, looking back, I don't really hate WoD like most people do, but a lot of people, unfortunately, didn't like that time in WoW.
I think if WoD had the same content cycle and the same open communication we're getting with Legion.
I agree.
Because I think we grew tired of it. And by we, I mean the collective, because I wasn't here during WoD. That was one of my breaks from WoW, but I think we would have been a lot better. And I think they were trying to pitch themselves on WoD too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
they realized, yeah, we were just sailing on the success of WoW.
Mhm.
And Legion was like, nope, we really got to work at it. But yeah, I sat down and watched this entire thing. It was insane. It was just like a lot of this, but it was cool to see. And yeah, I loved all the technology, like the cross-realm zones. I loved how they talked about, like, in the Cataclysm, they wanted to kill all the players and stuff like that.
It's funny, those little incremental changes they make every, like adding shadows and mop, like you said, Frasley. Those little changes are what make the game so good. Is that every expansion, every couple of years, they're adding these little tweaks that are graphically or the sound or whatever to make the game that much better.
And then at the end of this expansion, when we get our next Cataclysm 2.0 for next expansion,
I don't know about that now.
I could at least see them redoing the whole world if. But anyway, before we get into like spoiler,
yes, we could just dive in deep into that, like Ryan did with the Before the Storm. There, be careful.
Yes,
I gave nothing away.
yes,
It's true, he didn't.
and you will keep those spoilers with you till your death because heading into the PvP section. So there have been a couple of PvP updates from Blizzard, and a lot of it's stuff we've already known, but a few cool tidbits. They had a preview of the Duelers Guild, and I think this sounds really cool. You know how, like, you always have people like, hey, duel me. Hey, duel me. Now people have an outlet. You can just go there, and you can duel the players, and it sounds like it's going to be like the Brawlers Guild, where you can watch people doing other players.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is where all those dodo brains will go that are in the big cities trying to duel you when you're sitting there trying to change your talents or do something productive, and all of a sudden you've got some moron trying to spam duel to you, and it just irritates the crap out of me. I'm trying to do something. I'm like, guys, I'm trying to organize my bags here, do something really important in this game, and you guys are trying to duel me. Hopefully this will be an outlet for them.
Yeah, hopefully it'll also increase their honor level.
Hopefully.
I think the only way that's going to happen, Dusty, is if they're able to, because most of those people, truthfully speaking, are people that are like in queue for arenas, BGs, whatever, or they're waiting for their RBG team to form. So if they're able to continue to queue or do all that normal stuff while they're in the Duelers Guild, yeah, I think they'll likely go off and do their thing. Hopefully, you know.
Good.
Because I'm probably going to jump in there a little bit.
Oh, even Ryan's going to get in the
Yeah, we
dueling
actually
guild.
have some plans to do some RBG stuff in BFA, so we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Like it.
Yeah, I'm planning to try all this stuff too, because, hey, if I can actually get something for dueling people, again, I like the collectibles. It sounds like there's collectibles in the Duelers Guild that people will go to.
Where?
Some may become assassins.
Oh, I like the way you did that there.
They had a preview of the PvP and a lot of stuff we know. But a cool thing I saw, assassin. Infamy has its ups and its downs. You can become infamous in war mode by killing a certain number of players of the opposite faction without dying. Once you do, you'll achieve the status of assassin and gain an increase to your damage and healing by 15%.
I don't want to kind of crap on what you guys were just talking about with the whole duelers thing, but like this stuff here, like with the airdrops and being able to the bounty hunter system, like I want Ryan to get like a bounty reward on him, and then I want people to carry me to go where he is and like get that reward so I can screenshot it and just like hang it up like on my wall in my office. I think it'd be fantastic. But just the thought of like you killing a bunch of people, it just makes sense, right? And then you getting a bounty. Like SWOTOR does this with their game in that they do bounty hunting throughout the world, and it adds a lot of immersiveness throughout the system. And I love this and great stuff. I think this may be the biggest PvP expansion, since one of the early ones. I feel like they're getting a lot of love here.
Yeah, and I feel they're fixing a lot of rule sets that they had since Classic. And like this kind of also reminds me of the infamy system in ESO, because in ESO you could steal things.
Yes, that too.
And the Emperor system. It's like bringing in the best of those things. It would actually be kind of cool if you could walk around and pickpocket from vendors.
That's true. That would be cool.
Maybe Rogues Pickpocket 2.0. But yeah, I think it's cool that they're adding these systems. And I think it is going to help people that are ganking. Because at a certain point, you're going to go over the level, and everybody's going to be like, and they're all going to come and kill you so they can then become an assassin.
I'm just going to roll a blood DK, and everything's a moot issue at that point.
It's going to add somewhat of like a mini game, right? Of like trying to reach the point to where you are like the world boss on the map, to where it's going to be kind of like prestigious to say, hey, I got the bounty this high, that on my character, and that's how good I was to get to that point. And I agree. I think that it will eliminate that.
And I like the airdrops they're adding in too, because they're going to have these airdrops come through and any faction can take it. And then what's cool is, unlike the Gubrashi Arena, anybody can then go after limited time and get it. So it will reward whoever gets there first, but then everybody can take part in the treasure. So I think that's a fun thing. So may the odds be ever in your favor.
I just hope that they keep up with the airdrop and what it gives, because I think that's kind of something that, like, we've seen with World Quest from a looting perspective, that kind of goes to the wayside pretty quickly because you outgear it.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they keep up with it and keep it up to date so that it stays relevant.
Based off some of the posts that they've said recently, I get the feeling that they want people to do more than just raiding, that they want to make it where you can get the loot how you want to play. So I feel Blizzard's going to make that a better priority to get better gear from even these. That's
interesting. That's an interesting thought and point. I would like to kind of know what Ryan thinks about that. About having, and Ryan, the reason why I bounce it to you is because I know you have kind of strong feelings just knowing you, like I know you. So like hearing all this about the PvP and how they're kind of dishing out loot and rewards, like, I mean, are you okay with kind of this system going forward as far as, high mythic pluses and raids and PvP all kind of dishing out the same level? I mean, is that, what are your thoughts there?
I kind of figured you were going to go there with this. But no, so I have to be careful when I talk about this because I don't want people to think that I dislike other aspects of the game versus what I typically spend my time doing. Just as kind of a caveat, I enjoy almost every aspect of this game. I've done expansions where I just PvP'd. I've done expansions where I just did raiding. This in Legion, I had periods of time where heavy into the Mythic Plus scene from time to time. Like last season, I had about a month where I was really going after my radar.io score, and that was fun for a while, and so I'm very happy with the fact that there is diversity and a multitude of options for people to immerse themselves into whatever respective gameplay they enjoy the most. If you like pet battles, great, go for it. If you love Mythic Plus, if you love PvP, even within PvP, you have arenas, you have 2v2, 3v3, 5v5, you have RBGs, you have different aspects even from that perspective, and so my issue comes from I don't enjoy people being able to spend the majority of their time in some other piece of content or game style and being able to take that loot and come over to my area and do something that is arguably more difficult content and have just as good, if not better, gear that they had an easier time. And I shouldn't even say easier time, because the easiness of something is relative, but the amount of time they have to spend to get there is significantly less in a lot of cases. In other respects, like Mythic Plus, PvP, those guys can get gear much more quickly than, let's say, a Mythic Raider can, who's done 300-400 pulls on Agrimar or 500 pulls on Argus, which I saw. A friend of mine just got his cutting edge, and they logged 500 plus pulls on Argus. To me, to continue to strive to find that balance of segregation, where yes, these different avenues of playstyle are options, but they are separate from one another. And if you want to spend time in another one, you're going to have to spend time getting gear and stuff that you need for that respective gameplay. I would like to see more of that.
The one thing I think you miss if you don't raid, because I've seen this, the raid teams and the raid groups. I have a lot of friends who have developed strong bonds through the raid group, and they know all the jokes. They know their lives. I think one of the strongest communities you can build is either the raid team or if the PvP team that's always going together, but it's building a strong team. Do the stats change based off if it's a PvP item or a raid item? Because I know there's different things that you want to prioritize for PvE or PvP.
Not as much as you used to see. They've done away with the resilience stat, which was primarily on all pieces of gear in PvP. You do tend to see more versatility on PvP gear than you would on PvE gear, just because versatility is a damage reducer, which is a big deal. But other than that, no. The one difference that PvP has currently is they don't set bonuses and legendaries and all that kind of stuff. All the effects that you would receive from those outside of just your stats, those are turned off in PvP, so those guys don't have to worry about set bonuses. They just go after item level.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're homogenizing a lot of it. It's all kind of
you're going to see more of that
barrel
with Azerite armor. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ryan. It's always been a tough thing for Blizzard or any MMO developer to satisfy both groups.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that's the hard part of this argument. It's like, even for me on some level, I want to be able to take whatever gear I've gained and, like, let's say I'm spending my night in BFA, primarily I'm going to hang out in PvP. Well, let's say halfway through the expansion I get the bug that I want to do some raiding. I want to feel like all the gear and all the time I spent in PvP is going to allow me easier entry into raiding, you know, so I'm okay from that level. I want the in-between status that is almost impossible for Blizzard to achieve, you know?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I tossed it to you, is because I'm just so intrigued by this conversation, because I think there's such a balance to kind of try to, you know, one or the other. And with you, it's hard for you to have this conversation because you're coming from an aspect of you love to raid, you love the end game, you love myth, you know, the progression side of things. And so for you, there's a part of you that's like, well, if they can just get this over here, what makes kind of what we're doing special?
Right.
And unique about what we're doing. And so Blizzard has to kind of walk that kind of the balance beam there and try to figure out pleasing all sides of people who want to just do mythic pluses, who want to do this or that. And so good conversation to have, and some really cool dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely good to have the discussion because we're getting pretty close to the launch of BFA, because
yes,
Legion PvP Season 7 is ending soon. And that's typically been when the season ends, we get a patch. Mm-hmm. They're going to be doing a postseason during the pre-patch. So once pre-patch hits, we'll have a postseason. You can get everything that you want through it. Mm-hmm. And then there's also an article about the conversion from Legion Prestige to Battle for Azeroth Honor. It was fascinating to look at all the rewards and where they go. I don't want to go through like every level of Honor because there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot, like this reward goes here, this reward goes here, but I'm glad it's account wide. So beta updates. The water elementals have been updated to be more watery.
Very much so watery. I found that I was thinking of a statement my grandfather, who is 93 years old, would always tell me. He would always say when we were outside of working or whatever we were doing, he would say, "Man, I need something to drink." And I gave him some ice water, and I would say, "Is it good? Is it good, Grandpa? Is it good, Pop?" And he was like, "Is it wet?" And I was like, Yep, it is. Yes, it's definitely. It's, you know, he's. I don't care if it's cold. I just want wet water. I was like, as a kid, I misunderstood him, but now I get it. And he's an old timer. You know, he was trying to be funny. Wasn't really that funny. But these water elementals are definitely more wet.
Yes, I mean it has like water all around it. It's like looking at the other one, like, yeah.
Ryan, you love that story, don't you? You love that story, don't you, Ryan?
My story wasn't that great, but I'm telling it to you anyways.
They're so. Listen, Frasley opened it by saying more watery.
I was just pouring some coffee. So.
Now I gotta pee.
Oh man, I really do actually. Let's go. Oh man, they look good though.
Oh, they do. And the same way with the new summoning stone in Soulwell. I did not realize till they updated the summoning stone. That's a demon that you're summoning from. It's like a demon with like the heart in the middle. I had never thought about it. I thought it was like this closet, but no, you're coming out of a demon.
They look more epic for sure.
Yeah, and more warlocky.
Kind of, they do. Yeah.
I feel like they're doing like a lot of effects and stuff like that, and I'm excited for.
What's weird is we just killed the Legion, right? Yeah, the warlocks are still using demons. Didn't we kill all those?
That is true. Hey, Christy, can you answer this?
They're summoning them, Ryan. They're using them as slaves.
But the theory was always that they were summoning them from the Legion world, from the other realm, but we just took care of that problem. So their supply has been effectively killed off.
It's been effectively depleted.
Unless there's some aspect of the story and lore that I'm missing,
So 8.4 warlocks are removed as a class. Oh, that would spark a lot of rage.
So he says, you killed the leaders of the Legion, which spanned more than one world. We only killed the main leadership.
Okay.
There you go.
And that would make sense why in probably like 3 expansions, we'll be back with more demons again.
So we're no longer summoning the demons from other worlds. We're just summoning them from our order hall. They're going to stay there for the rest of the while.
We made a quick transition from my wet story to this, like really fast. I love this. Fantastic.
But, because I wanted to scrap that story because...
You wanted to scrap Dusty's story? I can understand.
Many people have wanted to scrap my stories, okay?
I was using the new Scrapper UI in BFA beta to pull out the pieces I wanted for the Summoning Stone. So yeah, there's a new Scrapper UI. It is the source for profession reagents. Can be used on most equipable gear, but not consumables. And it destroys armor weapons. It yields crafting reagents as well as a chance at expulsum.
Scrap-O-Matic 1000.
So probably Gnomus technology.
I would agree. Definitely gnomes would have to do with something like this.
Yeah, because goblins, it would just blow up all the time.
Yeah, goblins.
We were talking about this in Guild the other day, so we're hoping that it's going to be useful, but that's yet to be determined.
All right, give me examples. Give me like a case where you would consider this to be useful.
So right now you have the Obliterum that you can make from that little forge there in Dalaran.
Sure.
And you also have the items you can buy with shards to craft legendaries. So right now, basically what's going to happen is you scrap these items. As my understanding goes, and I could be wrong, but as my understanding goes, when you scrap items, you're going to get materials that you can use to craft BOEs.
Okay.
And so as long as those BOEs stay relevant, that will stay relevant. But that's yet to be determined.
Okay.
We were just speculating in Guild the other day how relevant or important this is going to be.
I like the new UI though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's super distracting with all of this fantastic music behind us as we talk. I feel like I should be better. This music is just making me want to be better.
We're in a tavern, so I mean, you have to.
Either that or Ryan's dancing is distracting me. I'm not sure which one.
It's distracting me too. So, Dusty, you and I can escape in a mole machine and go to Shadowfang City.
Let's do it.
Or Shadowforge City, not Shadowfang.
Hey, wherever you want to go, man. I'm there. I'm there with you.
So, Dark Iron Dwarves, the mole machine racial, now also goes to Shadowforge City.
Look at this.
This looks like the BRD's instance, except you are friendly to them and you can do stuff there. That has always been one of my favorite locales. It is just a fun city, and I've always wanted to live there. Well, now we can.
Something else that this makes me realize is how cool racials can be if they, you know what I mean? Like without making them, powerful as far as like combat goes. Like I love when the new races come in. What are their race? I remember when pandas were announced. You guys remember that? They announced that they could take more fall damage or whatever. The people at the announcement, they just went nuts. And racials to me are just, I don't know, they're some of the most fun things in the game.
And I like it when they're not dependent on gameplay, but you can add something to your character. Like, it would be cool if gnomes could be more agile, or maybe they can.
Everything's about gnomes with you, huh?
Yep.
It's Frasley the gnome.
Yeah.
He is Frasley the gnome. I like it.
I'm going to be rolling a Dark Iron, though, because I want to go back to Shadowforge City.
Boy.
As an alt.
That a boy.
As an alt.
Ryan's all about the dwarves, so.
If I hadn't gotten Horde, I was going to be all Dark Iron.
And doesn't this look like a really cool city? I mean, I want Nomergon.
Now it does. Yes, it does. Now that I would agree with you.
Oh, if they took back the BRD instance to be a city, what if we get Nomergon again? Ooh, okay.
He's getting a little excited here, folks.
Yeah, I guess I should probably calm down because it's going to take more experience for me to level up my excitement again.
Oh, more experience. Man, he is so good at segues. This is ridiculous.
That or they're very awkward and cringy. What are they do?
Whatever works.
Oh, man.
We like wet water around here,
Yes, we do. Yes, we
and
do.
Demons and lock cookies.
You're going to remember that. You're going to remember that story for the rest of your life, Ryan.
Don't forget to eat my lock cookies. Apparently, they're goddamn free.
That's our resident warlock, Lady Emma.
That's awesome.
So, in beta, they have added a thing today, and the two of you brought this up, and I had not thought about this. So, the experience required to level up has been increased.
Yeah, 15 per level.
And so has the AP as well, that they've both been increased. And it sounds like before you could get through 2 zones. We have 3 zones per faction. So with this, you'll have to go through all 3 zones to get top level.
Yep, that's correct. Oreo, that's in the chat right now, who's one of my co-hosts at TRC, as well as one of my co-officers in the guild that we were building out. For the project we've been doing over at TRC, he's been spending a lot of time in beta, and he said that he's actually leveled the max level a number of times now. In the most recent time, it took him 2 zones, about 8 to 10 hours of gameplay. And the speculation is with this increased percentage that it's going to be an additional 3 hours of gameplay, roughly, to get to 120, which is going to take you into the 3rd leveling zone. Now, whether or not you can hit the 120 before you finish that 3rd leveling zone, I don't know. But, I mean, that's kind of been the case so far in almost every expansion since, Burning Crusade. You've been able to get through most of the zones, and usually hit max level just before, somewhere in the middle of the last zone that's available to you. Pretty par for the course, in my opinion.
I have a question from someone who's not been in the beta. I mean, almost none, just kind of downloading it or whatever. But with the zones being 3 for Horde, 3 for Alliance, Ryan, how does it feel as far as like when you're done? Are you basically going to have to level a Horde and Alliance to get both stories as far as to get everything full? I mean, I know you can go and level in those, but as far as that goes, like, how does that feel having 3 Horde, 3 Alliance? Whereas normally in expansions like Legion, we had, or even WoD, we had, Frostfire Ridge, and then we had the other one for Alliance, obviously. So how does it feel as far as like leveling throughout? And maybe Oreo is best to answer this since he's done it a couple of times, but what are your thoughts on that?
So take Warlords one step further. You had a small snippet where you go to that, like, because each faction had their one zone that was kind of centric to them.
So Shadow Moon Valley, right?
Right, and then the other faction had a small quest hub there. But take that even further. So each faction has 3 leveling zones, and this time, whereas opposed to they only had 1, now they have 3 leveling zones that are centric to them, and then you have a quest hub that takes you over into one of their zones over there as the opposing faction. So yes, the answer to your question is if you do want the full-fledged story from both sides of it, you will have to level through both factions.
Okay.
Is there a chance we will miss story if we don't level through one side? Because I do kind of like that idea of, to get the full story and understand both sides, you have to level both sides.
Dustia, have you done the opening cinematic, the Lordaeron scenario?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Have you done it, Frasley, on the beta?
I did a little bit of it on the beta, and then I got distracted. I need to go back and do it.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that while the overarching experience and, point A to point Z of that story is the same from both sides, you do learn specific details from that faction's perspective as you go through it. And so the experiences, if nothing else, is different within it. So in my opinion, especially if you are somebody who really likes story, it would be in your best interest to do it from both perspectives, I think.
I like that because I was getting excited when the Broken Shore gave you a different perspective on both sides, and then I was kind of disappointed when, other than Stormheim, we didn't really get that. I'm looking forward to that because then it would make leveling a Horde be a fun side thing to do.
Right. I will tell you this. So when I did Legion, when I leveled in Legion, and to roughly about the time we were in Nighthold, I read the Malfurion book and the Illidan book. And both of those books tied heavily into a lot of the story we were experiencing within Legion. And now that I'm reading Before the Storm, I'm going to say this, but without giving too much away, I want to go read the Arthas book now. Having done that stuff in conjunction with these experiences really furthers my opinion that it's very, very neat to experience it from both sides. It has brought me to a level of excitement about playing the game that I haven't had since maybe vanilla, when the game was very fresh,
Right.
Nice. Ooh. Now I'm interested and excited, and this music doesn't help because it's some of the most nostalgic music.
Well, you're a gnome, so I can understand.
Yeah, I can too.
You know what? Maybe if I need help with raiding, I can go to Group Finder and buy a carry.
Not anymore.
But I mean, how else can I do the story if I'm not raiding? I mean, I can't do the group. I mean, I have the gold. I mean, I want the story of the raid.
It's a game changer, though, right? Like this, I just feel like this is such a good change. It's such a small detail, but it just makes such a difference when you queue up and try to find a pre-made or whatever, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's actually all real stuff, and not this just fluff that people are trying to just, bank off of.
At the behest of one of my guild mates, one of my other officers, I have to tell a story here.
Here we go. Is it going to be better than my story? That's all I need to know.
Yeah, he likes wet water too. Currently in Legion, as the policy states, currently, that is allowed. But the other piece of the story that you have to understand is that there is a timer. There is a cooldown on your trade chat so that you cannot spam the chat, right? We've been recruiting, so he was posting his guild recruitment post, but we've been trying to make some money for the guild bank. So they were bored one afternoon, and he and 3 other of the guild mates decided they were going to do some Mythic Plus carries to put some money in the guild bank. And so he did. He put a post together, made a macro, and he hit it, and he waited for the cooldown to come off, like Blizzard said. He wasn't trying to overly spam. And another group who was advertising baited him into a situation where they whispered him, acting like they wanted a... yeah, they're talking about it in the chat right now, but they baited him into whispering, thinking like making him think that they were potential customers. And the second he whispered them, their whole group reported him for spamming, because you have to have some level of interaction to report somebody. And so they reported him, and basically what they did is, so Blizzard squelched him for 72 hours or whatever.
No way. Yeah. That's crazy.
And so he got communication banned, so all he could do was talk in party and guild chat, stuff like that, but he couldn't talk in any sort of like general chat whatsoever. His account was squelched. So he put in a ticket, and Blizzard contacted him. He explained the situation. He told him what happened, and they have full records. Like it was just general chat. He wasn't custom or anything like that. They just pulled a really shady move on him. And Blizzard would not take it back. And he even made the argument. He said, you literally have a cooldown built into your chat program so that I cannot spam. And yet here you are squelching me for quote unquote spam, which I did not do. And they just wouldn't do it, And like normally I will be very critical of Blizzard and I'm in their camp despite that criticalness. But on this one, I was like, man, that is really terrible on Blizzard's part. If I was Blizzard, if I was at GM, I'd be like, who were the guys that did it? And I would have gone and banned all 5 of those guys for being shady. Because all they were doing was they were baiting people into this and then reporting them so that they could drown out all the other competition so that everybody would only go to them to buy runs.
That sucks.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's such a terrible, and we've in all of our past shows, Dusty, we've done it on Blizzard Umbrella, we've done it on TRC. I know the Blue Recluse just talked about it. We've had episodes with Ask Mr. Robot on various podcasts of talking about toxicityness and this type of behavior that makes the game very unfun for other people. And this was definitely one of those moments, and I was like, oh man, that's so terrible.
That stinks.
And that's going to be interesting because, with this new change, you won't be able to post carries in Group Finder. You have to use Trade Chat, and hopefully we don't see more of that.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Wow. Because a carry is a good way to get guild money. It's a good way to get people through the game. Wow.
Yeah, I think it'll just be happening elsewhere, right? Like it'll just be happening on Discord, Reddit, like wherever
third-party
people
websites
can go. It'll just be third-party stuff, which is what normally happens in this stuff. But I think getting it out of the client itself will make a more pleasurable experience. Maybe even make a tab for like guilds towards the end of tiers trying to, like you said, Ryan, make some money for the guild. Maybe have a tab just for that. And for people who are wanting, again, I don't know if there's a solution for this, but I do know one thing: logging in and queuing up for a pre-made, like I said, and not seeing any of that stuff, it is a pretty nice feeling. And it makes the experience way better than with all of those things flooding the actual interface.
Yeah, I think another potential solution is to treat the tokens the same way, like they do the tokens.
Yeah,
let Blizzard control the prices. You know what I mean?
I like
it's just a standard $30K a run, and if your guild wants to do it, you sign up as party leads.
That's a good point.
And you carry people, because sometimes, like on some servers, it's 15, 20K a run. Other servers you go to, it's like 200K a run. I've been seeing guilds advertise heroic and mythic carries for upwards of 1.5 million gold for one person.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
With the gold, though, like that's not a problem that I have, Ryan. Like I have a problem with the money, like you know what I mean? Like the gold stuff doesn't. Money? Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
And that's the stuff that bothers me. Like if a guild wants to make some extra change in between the lull time between tiers, like I don't have a problem with that. Like coming from a person who normally tries to pay before I met you, Ryan, to get the heroic carry, to get the mount or whatever. Like I want that service available for me who, is not pushing progression. So like I think there's gotta be a good balance there somewhere. And I think Blizz will hopefully find it soon. I didn't even think about that. Treating it like the token. That's a good point, Ryan.
Yeah, and you could do it the same way like they're allowing Mythic grading cross-realm after the World First. What if they open up that token system after all the World First are there? Because they already have the system for that. And yeah, that would probably quelch the black market for raiding as well.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go on, do either of you have trade chat enabled? I don't.
I do, but we use it for guild recruitment and stuff,
Okay, yeah.
I do, because, the occasional RP.
The occasional Chuck Norris joke comes by on the screen still.
All I see is stuff about analyzing stuff and like Thunder Fury and stuff like that. I don't want to forget it.
Oh, I forgot about that, but yeah.
So Icy Veins has a prediction for July 17th for the patch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it makes a lot of sense. We have not heard anything about the patch. I'm thinking that probably Tuesday or Wednesday this week, we will hear from Blizzard. Hey, by the way, patch is coming.
I think it's probably spot on. If not the 17th, maybe even a week before that. But that seems to be, I don't know, basing off kind of what they said there in the comments or whatever, I think that's probably about right.
Because this gives people enough time to enjoy the new artifacts and stuff like that. Enjoy all of the Mage Tower. I think it's the perfect timing, because then in your summer break, but you can still play WoW. So yeah, I won't discuss any more of what IT Veins has. There's an article if you want to see what they've shown in the pre-patch. Mm-hmm. One thing that we've all wondered is if Blizzard Inc. is in trouble as a company money-wise. Our great friend Alessander brought up an awesome article. It is from the Motley Fool. It's about how Activision Blizzard makes its money. Mm-hmm. And pretty much this explains why we get it in the launcher. Call of Duty is their biggest moneymaker. I mean, that's not a surprise. It's the FPS. You hear about Call of Duty from everything. Like, people who don't play games play Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. You got those Call of Duty and Madden gamers.
Yeah, the Madden with the EA and the cards, the Call of Duty. And they're saying that, interestingly, King with Candy Crush is its smallest segment.
Say what?
Yeah, they're saying of the revenue, King actually makes up some of the smallest revenue for Blizzard. And we're hearing about like an iOS King is or was one of the biggest mobile games. Though I think now Fortnite's taking that role.
Mm-hmm. I think what we can take from this, folks, is that Blizzard is printing money.
Yes,
as we had often thought, they're printing even more of it than even I expected. They're selling a lot of digital card packs, a lot of digital loot boxes, a ton of realm transfers from dummies like me before they went on sale, and Ryan as well. And so they are making some bank. I'm telling you, they are doing it, man. They are absolutely killing it.
Yeah, and it's amazing that even in the stuff, they list Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Overwatch as where the money is coming from. I'm like, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Hearthstone surpassing being contender for like spot number 2 eventually.
I could definitely see that with its mobile nature, with the fact that it's
Mm-hmm.
games and you can play it for free or you can buy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. They did say for Activision, their biggest shift has been digitally focused items.
Well, I just wanted to kind of go on a tangent here. Frasley made the comment earlier about he misses the aspect of being a part of a guild and that camaraderie and whatnot. So in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen I'm staring at right now, I'm seeing notifications pop up for my guild's Discord, and one message popped up, and this just kind of illustrates how crazy being a part of a guild can be. The comment read, and I have no clue of context before or after this message. All I read was, "I'm collecting dead animals for my neighbor. Be right back." What?
I don't know what's happening.
Do I even want to open guild Discord after this and read through? Like, do I even want to know?
Why did I pay money to transfer over to be a part of this? Oh man, that's great. Oh man, you almost made me forget what my points were going to be.
2 points.
I'm just going to make 1 point, but I think that I've got the other one. World of Warcraft #1, I think, is still making them a lot of money.
Yes,
a lot of money. I think that it's not talked about very much, but you look at the MMO industry as a whole, and you see the subscriber base or player base. A lot of these games are free to play, but even the ones that aren't, like Final Fantasy, things like that, their player base is still so much substantially smaller than what WoW's is. And I think that the money from transfers, the money from things like that, from character boosts, whatever, plus the money you're getting from every box copy. I mean, BFA, let's be real, it's going to sell a ton of millions and millions of copies, and you've still got a $15 a month, maybe a couple dollars less if you get, go for longer, but that's one. And then secondly, Diablo. When D4 releases, with all of this knowledge, with all of this information that we have right now from this article, the business model of Diablo is going to be such that those games always sell bonkers amounts of copies. All they have to do, literally, and I play D3, I play D3 a lot, all they have to do is monetize for extra stash storage or different ways for your character to look. Or if you play a wizard, if you want green or red or blue flames for your fireball, whatever. There's so many different things that they can do to monetize just the visual aspect, and the way they're making money with Overwatch and Hearthstone. Those are kind of my 2 takeaways.
Okay. Diablo 4, breaking news, will be free. And it's going to be Diablo Battle Royale with skins.
I don't know. I'm not going to discount any of what you just said.
Could you imagine playing Diablo 4 on your PC or Mac, on your mobile device, on your Xbox, not on your PS4, because PS4 with the crossplay won't play with everybody else, but your Switch as well. Could you imagine doing all that and, like you said, selling the skins? My nephew has spent over $100 in V-Bucks skins for Fortnite.
And he's probably on the lower end.
Yes! Like my sister said, you've almost spent as much as you spent on Roblox skins. I'm like, wow.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm with you. It's
behemoth.
The digital model, and I bought Diablo 3, and I wasn't playing WoW at the time. I was on break from WoW. And I have a copy of Diablo 3. I have a copy of Diablo 3 on my PS3. Got a copy of Diablo 3 on my PS4.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. We all know that the business model is going to be different because they've learned their lesson here with D3. It's going to be completely different. D4 is going to be just like what their games are going right now with all the digital stuff you can buy. They're not going to have a game that's just a single player game anymore. It's going to go, it's going to be a game as a service.
Overwatch, I think, is an interesting thing with esports. Yeah, I have 2 Overwatch jerseys. I have the first one that wasn't as good, and I got the second one, and I'm going to be buying one of their custom-named jerseys. I spent over $40 on Twitch to get Overwatch League emotes. At least I can do this one, Moira.
Yeah.
See, I spent over $40 to get that emote.
That's amazing, Frasley. But what I will say is that whatever you do, don't ever go to your balance sheet on your battle.net page where you can see how much you've spent over the years, because literally it'll make you cry. It'll make you want to check yourself into some type of home. I don't know. It's bad. It's really bad.
Owning multiple copies of WoW for the refer a friend stuff, owning every pet and mount in this. Anyway, 4 compelling reasons to buy Activision stock and hold it for the long term. Right now, they have said that they have gained 30% over the past year, and they have 4 reasons why. 8 $1 billion franchises. This is also from the Motley Fool. The massive opportunity of esports. Battle Royale mode for Call of Duty and Diablo 4. And record financial results. So this sounds like we're doing a ad for Activision Blizzard, why you should buy stock. And if you sign up right now at etrade.com, use coupon code Frasley, we will give you 14% off your first Activision stock.
That's awesome.
Now, with all of this stuff, I think this also goes into an interesting thing. Our great friend Alessander brought up another article that I wanted to save for this episode. So the International Olympic Committee is going to be holding an esports exploratory forum next month to see about bringing esports to the Olympics. I think this is incredible. We had it with the Asia Games, and now we're going to have it with the Olympics. And if with Overwatch, Mike Morheim's going to be there representing Activision, and it's going to be interesting. Could you imagine the amount of Overwatch sales that would happen from the Olympics?
This is going to be important, I think, for the future of kind of this may be a milestone, right? Kind of where we look back and say that's kind of where the tides turned even more to make esports kind of to the forefront of people's minds. And we watch them, we consume them because we're in this space. We love this space. We're gamers, we're nerds. We love watching people play virtual games, and competitively. But other people, it's not a big deal to them. And having it at a big event like the Olympics or something like that, I think could be a major game changer. And I think just the thought of Mike Morheim going over there, talking and promoting it is great for us, great for gamers, and great for esports.
Yeah. My thoughts pretty much reflect Dusty's. I think this is a big deal. It's important to do it right. I'm glad that they're bringing Mike, somebody from the Blizzard camp into the mix. I think a lot of other games have been successful from a flash standpoint. They get hot really fast and they burn out really fast. You see a lot of turnover rate. That's why games like Call of Duty, stuff like that, they come out with new editions pretty regularly. Blizzard has always been kind of slow to the take on things, but they haven't been slow to the take on the fact that they kind of missed the opportunity. You could make an argument from a MOBA standpoint they may have missed out when they were behind, League of Legends, Dota, but I think they take their time and they make sure to do things right. So I think if we want to bring esports into the Fulham Olympics, I think it's very important to bring people like, Mike Morheim and Blizzard into the mix and stuff like that. So this is kind of a big deal. I reflect Dusty's sentiments. And
one thing I've liked about esports compared to like physical sports is that a lot of it is mental acuity. I mean, you have to have fast reaction time, fast thinking, and a lot of that. Whereas, so someone who can't like throw a ball and do stuff like that, they can play a game in an amazing way. And games are very accessible. There's like different controllers for it. That's what's cool, is that esports is like a sport for everybody.
So I was telling somebody the other day, recently Epic Games had their Pro-Am, the Fortnite Pro-Am. And I was kind of laughing. I was kind of slapped my buddy on the shoulder and was like, hey, check this out. And he was like, what? And I said, tell me if you notice anything funny. And as the cameras kind of panned out of the crowd, usually when you watch NFL or you watch the NBA or the MLB or whatever, or even like golf, when you see the crowd, you see the people that are into this type of stuff. It's people that are quote unquote the non-nerdy. They're bigger. They're wearing what society would deem as normal clothing. And then all of a sudden the cameras panned out to the Pro-Am, and it was all these like kids with big thick glasses, super skinny, nerdy, like people like us that are really into nerdy things. And it's like, time of the nerd is here, it's like this is finally coming to the forefront. It was just kind of interesting to me, the drastic difference in the type of people that are present at this event as opposed to what you're normally used to seeing at events of this magnitude.
It's our day, Ryan.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm trying to remember who it was that was listening to. It might have been Maedros or Fandeath on All Things Azeroth. They said they were on a bus and a kid was talking about what they saw in Overwatch League, how they could not wait to go home and play that hero. Unlike football, you can go home that night and play the same way somebody's playing in the esports. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yep, that is cool.
But when you get off the bus still, just make sure you don't run into Slender Man.
Oh, no. I hate scary movies.
Are either of you familiar with the Slender Man lore?
I'm not.
I'm not.
Something Awful took some creepypasta. This was years ago. And they took some creepypasta and we're creating like this Slender Man. It's like this long character, like no face and long arms. And like they had all these videos. I watched all the videos. I'm sitting in the movie theater for Incredibles 2. And there's a thing about the Slender Man movie coming out on August 24th. I mean, this is a character that was created by nerds being in theaters.
It looks too scary for me. I'm not a horror movie film buff. I'm not, okay? I just clicked on the link that you put in show notes. I immediately regretted it. I had to close out, and I will probably not be able to sleep tonight. I appreciate
the water's
that.
too wet over there for him, Frasley.
Hey,
Can we mute him? Is there any way to just like replace him with like the server over there? Like just put him away?
I'm enjoying Ryan. I'm sorry, Dusty.
Bradley, please. I don't need two people against me now.
Okay, but you know what? We could send Ryan to the moon.
I'm okay with that. He'll have good internet.
Yes. I added this one in because this is insane. So this has happened fairly recently, and I think I heard this on tech stuff. I think I'm trying to remember where I heard all these things. But NASA and MIT had this device that sends lasers to the moon. And they say that it's 19.4 megabits per second. Now, how does that compare to like my internet is like 40 megabytes per second? 19.4 sounds like a very awful data speed. Or am I thinking of megabytes?
No, it's that. I mean, I was just reading it. I think it's equivalent to what we're talking about.
Okay, so they're going to get probably a low speed AT&T signal. Okay, that's not too bad. I mean, because I know people who are like 5 megabytes per second. So
a hotspot, effectively.
Yeah, like a hotspot.
I wonder how that would be with what are your internets at your house?
Well, I'm on fiber optics.
So I'm jealous.
Yeah,
so
you usually get like 10, 11 ms in game.
So what are yours, Ryan? What is it? Is it like what is your upload and download?
Oh, you would ask me that. I don't remember off the top of my head because I'd have to look.
Because like we have Comcast here in our neighborhood, and it's 150 down. And to do like the YouTube stuff that I do, I get like anywhere from 50 or 75 up, which it's been great. Like I've never had any issues with it here. So it's always been perfectly, as far as anything I needed to do. Now, MS isn't as low as what you're talking about, and the ping is a little rough in some games.
I'm right next to Chicago, so it's a little bit unfair.
That's true. You are. Yes. Yeah. Now, what's yours, you said, Frasley?
Well, mine right now is about 75 down and maybe like 5 to 10 up. And
That's not bad, though.
What kills me, across our road, I can see it from my house.
The place you can taste it
with gigabyte. I can feel the energy of the internet. But they have to go through our digging rules and our stuff like that to get things. So I heard that we're probably going to be one of the last ones to get fiber. I can feel it.
Well, Ryan, you're probably 400, 500, 600, 700 gig download, I assume.
No, No. It's a low end fiber optics package.
Okay, because some fiber is like gigabit fiber, where it's like legit almost a gig, like down, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, I think
More like that.
And it all's been on like your network.
Sure.
And like the bottlenecks of your internet. So, I mean, Ryan, at least, no, if we send you to the moon, then I think you'll probably get worse internet. So we'll keep you here for right now.
So what's funny is back when cable modem and DSL came out and everybody started getting off of dial-up, I remember there's 3 or 4 years past kind of that craze where you hardly knew anybody with dial-up anymore. I tried dial-up. And I was actually getting faster speeds on my dial-up than my cable at peak hours because so many people were clogging up the cable, the bandwidth in my area that my dial-up was faster.
Wow.
Show title: Ryan was alive way before dial-up.
Okay, yeah.
The sad part is Dusty's only like a few months younger than I am, but because I have this beard and I look like I'm, 70.
Well, and you know what I also love too? I always wonder what Ro thinks when he's putting up the show notes. I can find that artwork. Okay, that's awesome. So what time is it?
Let's look at what has been happening in the community.
Awesome. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
There is a machinima. I got an email from Mr. Bohemian, and I'm going to actually interview them on Sunday to put at the end of the next Frazzlecast. But they are working on a machinima, The Dreamers, A Play of Playing. It is a reimagination of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream in the World of Warcraft dreamscape. And I'm going to play a quick audio sample.
Is your wisp ready for Brown Azeroth?
The druids have tutored me to tears on our history. Death and decay with life and living sharing the same palette. The well, the portal, the pretties versus uglies, war and famine, pain and suffering, the birds and the bees, every blade of grass a lesson, etc.
Yes. That is reality in brief.
Reality? I thought this was reality.
This is reality.
Then why must I walk away from reality?
To grow up, young king.
So what is cool about this is it is going to be a 2.5 hour machinima.
I'm interested to see how this turns out.
There's a Kickstarter opening up. The cost of the Kickstarter is going to go to getting an animator to do all of the artwork and stuff like that. I've always been a fan of machinima, and especially machinima in WoW that tells a story, like Illegal Danish and stuff like that, and like some Taryn Gregory's early stuff, and somebody reminded me of Darrowshire. I mean, I'm a fan of the machinima that uses the game and uses WoW to tell a story. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about this one is it sounds like there's a script that they have, and they're trying to tell it through the story of WoW.
I love anything unique like this. I'm excited to see kind of how this turns out. I'm glad you brought it up to my attention because I would never have found that on my own.
Yeah, it was cool. I got a email from them, and I was like, absolutely, I'll talk about this because, again, machinima something. So the Kickstarter opens July 9th, but I'll have a link to a page where you can check it before the 9th. I love creative stuff in the community. And Ali posted on Twitter about an add-on by Michael Gaines called Mount Up. So the description is, when you reach 225 mounts, you can't keep all your favorites on your hotbars anymore. There just isn't enough room for mounts and other things. This add-on brings up a scalable window which puts all of your favorite mounts in one area. No more using precious hotbar space.
This is kind of unique here. I'm just looking now at kind of what it looks like here. How many mounts do you have, Fraz? Just out of curiosity.
I think over 200.
Wow, I'm impressed. Ryan, how about you?
Oh, I'm like mid 100s.
Do you feel like the favorite mount button now gives you a sufficient selection, randomness, or you just want to have them all at your fingertips?
All at the fingertips.
No, the favorite button is stupid. It's
I
broken.
agree.
It's like I have I'm one of those people. I make every mount I own that is usable by my characters favorited.
Yes. Yeah, right? I agree. Me too.
It seems to land on like the same 3 mounts. Like, what? Come on.
I agree. Like something in the algorithm is messed up. I agree 100%.
And I am wrong. It is 199 mounts collected. I just looked at armory.frazzly.com, and yep, I'm at 199.
You're there, man. One away. You are one away.
Now, I'm probably not to the achievement because it's usable by one character. Then this probably counts my
That's true.
board mounts. But yeah, the favorite button, it doesn't do all that. Like, and sometimes you want to use like your dark water skater, or you want to use things. Sometimes
that's true.
I do have a few of those, like Hotbard, my vendor mount, my water strider, and in Legion I had my class mount up there because the shaman one is it's the best.
It really is. I agree. I've told Ryan this. It is the best, bar none. I love that. I'm going to do that, even though I don't really like playing shaman. I'm going to do it just for that mount.
Sure,
but my favorite mount in the game is the one you get from Hearthstone, the Hearth Steed. I love the way that horse looks. It's fantastic.
The one I like is the Flame Strider from Heroes that you could get a year ago.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Actually, I had somebody ask me where I got that one the other day in LFG.
Yeah, I think Ryan and I actually did some of that stuff together.
We did, and I don't want to talk about the one after that. Blizzard was very not on my good list.
Wait,
yeah, I remember that one. What was that trying to unlock though?
The police skin for Diva.
Oh man, I remember that. You were so mad at the time. I hated that for you. That wasn't that good.
And the one thing this add-on needs is a command. I didn't see a chat command because it's up when you're doing stuff. So unless I'm missing like the /mount up command to open it, because then I can macro it. But mounts collecting is fun, and there's a mount that's going away real soon. It's flying away as soon as pre-patch comes. Make sure to get your Violet Spellwing before it's gone.
Yeah, everyone is up in arms about the Mage Tower business, and I'm just sitting here trying to get my Violet Spellwing.
I almost didn't get it myself. I mean, it was one of those.
Where is that one from?
That is from Heroic on Antris.
Okay. Oh, okay. I have it. I've had it forever, but
good for you. Oh, good for you, Ryan.
Right?
It's fantastic. Just great.
Well, maybe we'll put together a raid this Sunday, Dusty.
I've been asking, I've been begging, I've been telling you, hinting at that I need to go, but you have yet to. Oreo, if you're still in here, or Ben, or whoever, please, guys, for me, please set something up. Let's do something, okay?
Now, can you add Ro on it too? Because Ro had a message that they're not going to be getting the Violet Spellwing. I'm like, Ro, the keeper of the scrolls of podcasting, isn't getting a Violet Spellwing. I'm like, Ro puts in so much work every week for the community.
Is it a guaranteed for Mantorus?
Yeah,
an achievement. So
yeah, okay, cool. Ryan, please, please, Ryan.
Well, I'll shoot some messages out. See if we can make it happen.
Nice.
Yes.
See, Broadcast, make things happen.
This is amazing.
Live on air, we are showing things the same way how Rudism was live on Twitch earlier, and they were showing off custom controllers. Now, it sounds like on Twitter that they are building some custom controllers for Battle for Azeroth with Warcraft and Razor. So what they showed off in the Twitch stream, from what I saw, was a boxing glove and like a gun, like the portal gun, and 3 others. So I'm curious, are we going to get like a boxing? Oh, the Doors arena. We'll have like a boxing controller that you can use to box people.
Mm-hmm. This has always baffled me.
This has broken monitor written all over it.
It does. It does in general. But like when people are on Twitch, like playing games, like there's just one guy who plays Fortnite with like literally anything he can find. If he can get the interaction to work with the game, it just baffles me. Like these people are just so smart. They're so talented. And it's just like, it's one of those, it's like mind blowing to see how they can play the game with just like, he was at one time playing Fortnite with a Dance Dance Revolution gamepad, and it blew my mind. I was like, "This is insane! How is he doing this?" I don't know.
It's like I saw this new keyboard for phones. It's like it goes on your wrist, and like you type like different finger animations. This is bad for audio, but it does like different things, and like you make different combinations. Like I can barely remember my keyboard combinations, and wow, you think I'm gonna remember all the other stuff? I'm still trying to configure my Logitech keyboard and mouse.
And it looks like this guy's like designed like it's almost like a Lucio like type hand where he can do all the movements that Lucio would do in game and all the gestures like work. That's crazy.
I want to see where this goes. It's one of those, when I saw that it was officially, and it wasn't just like a random tweet, but Warcraft tweeted it was on the Battle.net launcher. So there is some big merchandise coming out for Battle for Azeroth, and I may end up buying it.
So as we're doing our recruiting for Mythic BFA, we had an applicant, and part of the application process is they have to post a picture of their UI, and None of this is really to discriminate, or I guess discriminate is the only word to use for it, against people who choose to play a game in a certain way. But it's more or less just different levels of ways to kind of vet people to see how serious they are. Are they going that extra mile to make sure that they're going to be able to play the game at that adequate level? And we had one guy apply who plays with a console controller. And unbeknownst to me, you can download a third-party UI that is for the console controller. And he was playing a tank, but he had like 4 spells on his UI. And it's like, I get it. Most classes have anywhere from like 3 to 7 spells that are the core part of the rotation. But even those classes have other functions that you will still want to be able to use at times. So I got to think, like, how does this guy target different mobs as the tank in a mythic raid or a high level mythic plus? Like, he literally like tab through every single mob until he gets the one that he wants. Like, that just, I don't know.
So had he been mythic raiding before? Like, had he been in that high of difficulty with that interface, like the controller?
We never got that far because some of the other answers to some of the other questions were red flags already. So we just kind of thanked him first time and said that he might be better off with another group. That was definitely one of the questions we were going to ask him, because it's like, really? Like, it's kind of find it hard to believe this guy's been raiding at a high level or playing the game at a high level with a controller, Not to say that it can't be done.
That was one of the debates I remember when I was playing Final Fantasy 14. I played most of that extra on a PS4, and that was one of the things they said is there was the debate, well, you can only play well if you're playing on PC.
Master Race.
Yeah. I've seen the console port, I've looked at it, but I like my mouse and keyboard, and especially my mechanical keyboard Logitech that is blue and gold when I am in WoW.
Yes. I love the color coordinated. I got mine Diablo all red, So
For Diablo Battle Royale. Nice.
Are you using a mechanical keyboard too, Dusty?
No, I've actually changed over to using the Razer, the one that's can't think of the name of it right now. It's got that detachable.
The Black Widow.
Yep.
Okay. Because did you get rid of yours because of the all the audio stuff because the keyboard was too loud?
For podcasting, yeah. But I've got it over there on my Mac, and it's very clickety right now, and so I've got to kind of switch it over.
To let the chat and Frazzle, we had this discussion on Blizzard Umbrella today. My work made the mistake of letting me choose any keyboard I wanted, and I work in a small little office with 8 other people. It's very quiet because, we all do, like I said earlier, data analysis during the day. And I purchased what I thought was a non-mechanical keyboard from Razer, and they sent me a mechanical one. And so I'm that guy that's clackety-clacking over in the corner. But it's maybe, like, I love it. I actually want to get one for gaming now, but all of my stuff, like, even when I'm gaming, I'm usually streaming or something like that. So I don't know if I want to get a mechanical keyboard because how loud it is.
But it feels so good, right?
It does.
Oh, it does.
Really does.
I kept thinking that there would be no difference over my Apple keyboard. No, huge difference with the mechanical. It's like, it is loud, but yeah, it's great.
Like, I've changed over all my mice to this G502 from Logitech. Like, I didn't think that I could ever like a mouse that much, but I don't know. I've got 3 of these things now because they're super cheap on Amazon. Man, it makes a huge difference. I don't know how we got talking about peripherals, but we did. So,
my favorite mouse was the Logitech MX510 back when I was Unreal Tournament 2004.
I had that one. I have to probably still have it somewhere in this office.
I had it for so many years, and then it died.
Mine's curled up over there. It still works, but it's so hard to use it now. I have the Logitech G11 keyboard. I've had it since 2006. No, 2005.
I think I have that too.
And I had my Logitech MX500, the mouse. I've had them since 2006, and they both work great. Even though I've slammed them, I've beat them, I've mistreated them, they still work great. And so I got tired of the mouse and felt like I should try something new. And I bought a new mouse with a higher DPI. And then I tried to use the old one again one day. I'm like, oh, I cannot do this. The DPI is way too low.
Yeah, it's amazing what they've done with technology.
Yeah.
I could talk peripherals all day if you guys want to. Like, stop this podcast right now, start another one just about peripherals, okay? I love this stuff.
But you know what you could do then? If you're going to BlizzCon, you could create a group of people at BlizzCon about peripherals.
I could do that. You're exactly right.
Just make sure if you're buying a ticket for BlizzCon, BlizzNerds wants to let people know that the official name change deadline is July 13th at 8 p.m. Pacific. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I always love talking with people about peripherals and things like that. And you know what? Today I got a surprise before the podcast. So I wanted to give a shout out. I got a Discord message from a listener, Carmexia. They said they are a longtime listener on Spotify. and they can't listen live due to work. I want to thank you, Carmexia, for reaching out. That was right before we went live. And it was like, it gave me that jolt of energy. It was like the Red Bull I needed to go. So I can't tell you enough how much it means to get a message like that. So thank you. So I'm going to click on my mouse. It is now sadly the end of the show.
Oh, that's just sad.
Ooh.
I had a great time with both of you. It was awesome. I mean, this is going to be almost 2 hours.
Man, it was like we were drinking wet water, man. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Let me tell you something. Once you get hold of that wet water.
All from the warlocks and the demons.
Listen, he can make fun of me all he wants as long as he gets me that lovely purple bird at the end of the heroic. Okay? That's all I want, Ryan.
We'll see what we can make happen, my man.
All I want.
Oh, good old wet water as my chair creaks.
Thank you, Frasley, for having us. This has been awesome.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
Oh, it's been my pleasure to have you both on. I found you guys through the Blue Recluse. I keep on saying Recluse because it's...
You can call him whatever. It doesn't matter.
Ro told me the same thing on Real Maintenance. He's like, that's the one podcast name I always mess up is the Blue Recluse.
Good, it's not just me! Yeah, okay, good. Ooh, because I made the song for them, and it was like 3 months later I found out that I had made the song and mispronounced it. But Tom told me that they were just laughing, so it was great. But yeah, I found you guys on an episode of the Blue Recluse, and I love listening to the Blizzard Umbrella.
Aw, thank you.
It was great having you under my broken umbrella.
Oh, I thought he was about to do it again.
No, I had to figure out how to fix this afterwards because
I was like, no, don't do it, Frasley.
We're about to end up on a Twitch bloopers reel as his backdrop falls over and the lights come crashing down.
Yes. So, where can people find the Blizzard Umbrella?
If you guys want to find us over the Blizzard Umbrella, you can find us on our website, www.blizzardumbrella.com. You can find us on our Twitter account, which is at Blizz Umbrella. Or you can hold us at our email account, which is blizzardumbrella@gmail.com. Come by, say hi, ask us questions, make suggestions content-wise. We always love this, hearing from you listeners. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, just on the end of that, Ryan, we normally do a weekly show, but it looks like this week that we are probably not going to do one. But you know what? Since we've been on this show for almost 2 hours now, I think we'll let that that be. But normally we do a weekly show. We record on Mondays, try to release on Wednesdays. So definitely check us out for sure.
Yeah. You can also find me over on the TRC, the Raiders Confessional I do with Oreo. It's been in chat. Marty, also from the Blue Recluse, is one of our co-hosts there, where we do, Blue Recluse.
The Blue Recluse.
The struggle is real. But yeah, you can find us over there where we're talking all things in-game content-wise, PvE-wise, in the world of Azeroth. So right now we are rounding out a Battle for Main project, where we are searching for our mains for BFA.
And that is a serious show because I tuned in and you had spreadsheets. I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah.
Don't get Dustin started on spreadsheets.
They speak my language over there. Okay, on the TRC.
We don't normally have spreadsheets up, but we've used them to facilitate our talks on BFA, the BFA talks. But yeah.
I tuned in and I was like, I'm not that good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
That's awesome. As for me, hook up with us over on the Blizzard Umbrella if you're interested. The Discord over there. I'm Dusty, hashtag 1717 on Discord. Would love to communicate, hang out, play some games with you guys. Other than that, just check out what we got going on at the Blizzard Umbrella, and we got a really cool project we're starting actually this coming Sunday. Very, very cool. Something we can't talk about just yet, but it's going to be awesome. And Frasley, I can't wait to have you kind of help maybe be a part of that at some point in time. So,
it's always dangerous to tell a podcaster that they can be part of something creative because they just get giddy. Like if somebody says, "Hey, can you be on the show?" I'm like, "Absolutely,
absolutely."
Well, and I am Frasley, and you can find me and my Broken Umbrella every week at Frazlicus.com. Until next week, be awesome.
Do it.
Bye.
Welcome to the Frasley Report, a short news report by me, Frasley, the Awesome Gnome, to deliver your weekly World of Warcraft news. This broadcast contains some spoilers for the end of Legion quests. Vendors across Azeroth are trying to figure out what to do with all of the artifact power tokens now that many champions of Azeroth have maxed out their artifacts. On June 26th, Magni, who likes to be called Mr. Sparkle, led many adventurers to empower their artifacts to draw the darkness out of Sargeras' sword. This caused artifacts to be maxed out and not need any more AP tokens. This is great, except now vendors are being swarmed with AP tokens. These vendors are trying to turn around and sell these to low-level characters. But with the abundance of AP tokens, they aren't being bought in enough quantity to offset the influx from high-level characters who are vendoring them at every opportunity. Thankfully, many raiders have taken a break until Battle for Azeroth. Otherwise, the many raids that happen throughout the week would overwhelm the vendor exchange, which is how many items are traded amongst vendors to be sold to players. This pileup of tokens is not without some positives for the economy. Some vendors have been selling these tokens to blacksmiths to smelt into gold. The resulting gold gives off a very unique fell green color. Transmog collectors have been going wild to collect these unique appearances, as there is a fear that no green will be in Azeroth armor for at least 2 expansions. There have been reports of one Blizzard designer screaming loudly in their cubicle, "No more green! Please, dear Elune, no more green!" before running out of the building, never to return again. This has been the Frazzle Report. I am Frazzly Sparkspan. You can find this show at frazzlereport.com. Until next week, be awesome.
You look to me like a slacker. Yeah, that's right. That's right, I am a slacker.
Join these two slackers for a bi-weekly chat about beer, gaming, tech, and something random every show.
Just search Slacker Studio in your favourite podcast app. If you can be bothered.
You're a slacker.
Frazzlecast is a fan podcast that covers Blizzard games. We are not affiliated with Blizzard Entertainment. Views expressed by the host and guests are their own. Some of the art, music, and sound effects come from Blizzard games and are owned by Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. No copyright infringement is intended.
Want more awesomeness every week? Visit weeklyawesome.com. Weekly podcasts to make your week better. Remember to smile and be awesome.